right now, yesterday we left at the data types and all. So let's complete the data types first. So we learned about the print statement, right? Or the print function, right? So let's just see what the print function does. All it did was you could print something on the screen.
Not visible.
Stuti, could you help me? Could you let me know if my screen is actually visible or not?
Yes, yes, it is visible.
Okay. Then C2, B7, E5, A2, most probably you have a problem. Maybe try to reconnect or something. Okay.
Yeah.
So all you could do with print statement is print something onto your console or onto your screen. So now my first question is, what if I want to print something? Let me just remove this code. What if I want to print something like to the screen, something with a single quote in it? What if I want to print something like this on the screen? Any suggestions from you guys using the print statement, using the print function? You can let me know directly in the comments, or we'll figure it out together. Okay. So let's, okay, someone says we could either use backslashes maybe, because now the reason this problem arises, the reason that this problem actually arises is, if I print something like this, let's say, everything had to be in single quotes, right? Or double quotes in Python, right? That's how you can print it. Now, if I type something like, and then try to execute it, you see it throws me a syntax error. It says it's an invalid syntax. And the reason is pretty clear. What you see is that anything that is inside the quotes is exactly the value that's going to be printed. But when I put in a single quote in here for this string right now, so it actually closes the single quote, right? That's where my string starts and ends. Anything between it is a valid string. If it's not between it, it's not a valid string. That's why I get the syntax error. So one way of doing it would be the escape sequences that we learned yesterday. There are a lot of escape sequences. Most probably we also sent you a link. So one way of doing it would be something like that. Instead of writing this single quote, we have to escape it. We have to escape it using this backslash, and then it's a valid string. The second way, or the easier way, that the Pythonic way would be to print it in double quotes, right? So it works, right? The reason is that now anything inside a double quote is my valid string. So this single quote inside this double quote is basically a part of this string. Now, in this case, if I try to print something like this, then it's an invalid string. So if you need a double quote inside your string, you could wrap your string with a single quote, or do the vice versa.
Can we use single quotes?
Yeah, you can use single quotes. That's fine. Right? And you can even add as many double quotes as you want. That would be a part of your string. That's it. But just in case you wanted a single quote in here as well, that's when you would have to actually escape it. See, that's how Python works. And passing nothing, like you guys, some of you guys asked actually, passing nothing would actually print nothing. So right now it's a space. So some here it would have printed a space. See, so just printing nothing. That's it. Now you can even use multiple print statements in here. visible now, right? So shall I continue? If it's fine with you guys?
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah. So let's declare a variable fast, real fast. So X, and let's put a string in there. So let's say, hey. And let's have another variable. Okay, not AP, it's here. You can name variables anything you want. It could be your name or something. It could be a place, anything. Right. Now, just like you could add integers. What if I try to add some strings? What do you guys think would happen? Let's say I want to do something like x z equals to x plus y, and then print out z. So what do you guys think would happen? Now, technically, they are not integers, they are not numbers, so they shouldn't be added, right? But the weird behavior or the expected behavior in Python is that you see they are printed together. So this thing right here is called concatenation. Concatenation basically means joining strings together. So all this plus operator did was took this string, and when I say add it to this string, it just joins them together, right? I could have even done something like something on the fly as well. So now you see, I'm adding multiple strings together. Yeah, it's concatenation. So you could do something like this. Now, one thing that you guys need to keep in mind is z equals to y plus z. Yeah, that would work. But z doesn't actually have a value, right? So it would go something like this. Okay. So now what you guys need to keep in mind is I can't do something like this. It would throw me an error. You could only use the plus operator with the strings. And in case of plus, in case of numbers, it was called the arithmetic addition operator, right? It added stuff together. It added the numbers together. So it was called the arithmetic addition operator. But right now, it's not the addition operator. It's the concatenation operator. It's totally a different operator. It's one symbol doing multiple stuff or different stuff with different data types. That's it. Right now, if it's a string, it's a concatenation operator. HSPM, Dave, it would be HSPM, I guess. Now, let's say we have this number, z equals to 10. And instead of just printing 10 like this, I want to print something like the value of z is 10. What would I do in that case? So let's see what we can actually do. And we'll explore a new behavior of this print function as well. So I could say the value of z is, and now how do I actually print the value of z? I could do something, I could use another print statement, right? But that would end up printing z and 10 on different lines. I don't want that. So what you could do is you could pass in multiple stuff in print statement. So you can write something like this, and it would print z and the statement and the value of z, right? Similarly, you can keep on passing other string as well, like hey and all. So it would just print them all together. That's it. So now that's great. That's working. So that would be about the printing and strings, concatenating and joining strings. Now there's this other data type in Python that exists. It's called the complex data type. And can anyone just answer it in the comments real quick? What do you actually understand by complex numbers? Real quick in the comments. You might have heard it somewhere, maybe in 11th and 12th in your higher secondary or something. Or maybe used it in engineering. So complex numbers are this weird numbers that has an imaginary part, a real part, and all, right? So let's see how we can. So Python actually supports the operations on complex numbers as well. So let's see how complex numbers work in Python. So the way that we actually wrote complex numbers in mathematics was a plus something like ib, right? Or bi, whatever you want to write it like. We wrote something like this. But in case of Python, it's not how we write it. Instead of I, we use J. It's just a Python syntax and nothing special about it. So let's say we have this complex number 2 plus, let's say 6J. It's a valid complex number. 2 plus 6I is not a valid complex number. You need to remember this. Instead of I, we write J because I actually means used to mean something in programming, right? In programming, since the earlier days, I was just known as the iterator. It's just something that programmers came up with. So these Python guys kept that in mind, and the complex numbers looks something like this. So now we know how to actually find the type of variable, right? So now if I see the type of 2 plus 6J, it's complex. It's complex, right? So you could even add complex numbers together. Let's say we have this number again, 2 plus 6J, and I want to add it with, let's say, 3 plus 2. What do you guys think the answer would be? Or how do complex numbers actually get added together? Anyone? This simple mathematics that you've learned so far. Okay. And that's exactly how it looks like, right? So the real part is added with the real part, and the imaginary part or the complex part is added together. That's it. That's how complex numbers work. You could even do something like multiplication and all. So all the operators that you could use, that's how complex numbers get multiplied, right? Basically the scalar product. So that's the fourth data type that we have learned about the complex numbers. We have already learned about in float, string, and now complex. And right now we also know about booleans, bools, the true and false. You'll see what they do. Right now they might not mean a lot to you guys, but we'll see what they actually do. So now let's actually start doing something interesting. Right now, all we did was get in touch with these data types and print a lot of stuff on my screen, right? But that's not what programming is about. We don't always need to print stuff to the console. We also show it to the user. Sometimes we also need to take input from the user, right? So let's do that. So the first question would be, how do we take input in Python? And the answer is really simple. Just like the print function, we have this input function. Okay. So let's say that right now I want to take an input from the user and then print exactly what the user entered. So I can say something like x equals to PUT. You see, I'm actually saying that x equals to input because the value that we enter, I want to store it in a variable. And I'm saying you entered x. Let's execute this. Now you see, I get this place where I can, get this input field. I can type in something like this in here, and tells me that you entered 100. That's right, I entered 100, right? So I could do a lot of stuff in here. I could say something like hi, then 100. So it would just blindly print everything that I input in here. Okay, that's great. That's exactly what it was supposed to do. That's not a big thing right now. So now what else what we want to do is right now, I want the user to enter two numbers, and then I want to print the sum of those two numbers. Okay. So if you want, you guys could also try it in the comments, or let me know in the comments how we could do that, or else we will do it together. So here's like just a minute for you guys. to think about it, and just let me know if you were successful. By the way, here's how the syntax looks, right, for the input, just in case you confused it. Okay. So I want you to take two numbers as an input, X and Y. Let's say X. So and if you enter 2 and 3, the output should be 5. I want to do something like this. Okay. So a lot of people, you guys are already telling me how it should look like. So let's try it. Yeah. So I guess Tamanna actually answered it. So I'm gonna just copy your code. Let's see what Tamanna did. So here's what Tamanna did, and let's check it out. 10. And what if I print 20? So what should be the answer be? It should have been something like 30, right? Sorry. And here's something weird. Right now, here's something really, really weird that you guys that you are seeing right now. I enter 10, I enter 20. So the answer should have been 30, right? But it printed something like 10, 20. What could be the reason for this? Any suggestions from you guys? Hello? Yeah. So the point is, the reason for this is when you enter something in Python, whenever you input something, the default data type of anything that you input is a string. It's a string, right? And we've already learned what this plus operator does. It's concatenation operator. So when we input two strings, it's a concatenation operator. And if you will see, if I write something like this, my code even won't work if you see it already throws me an error. And the reason it already specifies out. So you get something like this, unsupported operand for string, because my default input type is string. That's why it's not working. So now what should we do? The answer is really simple. We need to typecast it. And when I say we need to typecast it, I mean that we need to explicitly tell Python what kind of data type we are expecting. If we don't do that, the default data type would be string. Right. So I could say something like, I want an int. Same for this. Now, if we try it, we get the sum is 30. So is this clear what we are doing right now? Guys, it would really help me if you would actually stay active in the comments. Yeah. So what we did in here was actually tell Python that right now we are expecting integers. In the same way, we can do something like that. Let's say x is a float. Now I can write something like 10.8, and the next number let's input an integer because that's what we expect. Right. But what if I don't do that? Again, the same question. What if I don't do that? What if I write something like this? First value is an integer. The second would be just an input. So that would be just a string, right? Now you see I get another error. Now this time the error is, since Python knows that x, my first value, would be an integer, and the second is by default a string. So it says that it doesn't know how to add an integer and a string together. Python knows how to add floats together or numbers together. It knows how to concatenate strings together, but it doesn't know how to add a number to a string. Okay. So that you have to keep in mind. So let's go back to the code that we wrote originally. And here's our input working totally fine. You can even change the operators and do all kind of stuff if you want. Yeah. So I hope it's clear. I'll give you a minute, ask your questions in the comments, and I'll try to answer it as fast as I can. Guys, let me know your doubts in the comments then. Okay, you want me to explain it again, right? In Python, we don't actually add strings, we concatenate together. Basically, we join them together. So let's say if I have hey, if I hi, and I add a plus sign between them, it would be hey hi. It would join them together, right? And the stuff that I just wrote, told you guys is that by default, the data type of anything that we input in Python is string. So whenever you input something in Python, it's going to be a string. Just in case you want any other data type, you want it to be a number, then you need explicitly need to tell Python. You need to tell Python that I'm expecting a number. That my code expects a number for my code to work. And that's how you do it. You tell it that it's gonna be an int, and you pass the input function in here between it. Yeah, so we explicitly converted the data type. So now if I enter something like 30 and 10, I get, okay, this product, it should have been the product. But you get the point, right? So you can now use operators that are supported by numbers. The default data type, and I'll repeat this and I hammer this into your head. The default data type or the default data type of input is going to be string. Yeah, if you want to concatenate stuff together, then you can only use the input. Okay, now it's great. My program looks nice. My program actually works. But the point is, if you just show me something like this without the code, if you just show me something like this, a blank input field, I won't get you. I won't know that what exactly do I have to enter. I might type in something like hi, and boom, your code breaks. The reason your code breaks is that hi is not an integer. So you told Python that you're expecting an integer. Python will try to convert or interpret your input as an integer, right? When you enter 10, it says, yeah, 10 is a valid number. It's a valid integer. I'm fine with it. But if I say something like hi, it's going to tell you that, dude, it's not a valid number. Hi is, I don't know whatever it is, but it's not a integer with base 10. Base 10 just means the numbers that we use. Computer uses binary, that's base 2. We humans use the decimal system, it's base 10. So your system would tell you that it doesn't know what hi is, right? But being a layman who is just checking out your program, I won't know what to enter. So maybe it could help me if you could also say something like, please enter a number, or please enter number 1, please enter number 2, something like this. Just prompt me. It would help me a lot, right? So one way that we can do it, we can write a lot of printf functions in here. Something like, I'm just going to write it just once just to show you. Enter, let's say number 1. Okay. And most probably you guys would think that, yeah, it's going to work. It's fine. It's going to work just fine, right? This is what I'm doing. I'm printing something like this, then asking for your input, then asking for another input, and printing all this, right? It works, right? So, but now you see that there's this lot of lines of code. Let's convert it to number 2 as well. And now you see it kind of starts breaking. My code kind of starts breaking already. So it's enter number 1, 6, enter number 2, 10, and then the product. So there's this lot of print statements and all. That's a lot of code. And Python was meant for simplicity. It was invented so that you guys actually don't have to write a lot of code. So we can even skip all this part. The input function in Python actually supports an argument, or you can just write something in this bracket, just like you did with the print function. And basically, you could write a string in here, pass a string in here as well. So you could say something like enter number 1. And it would now what this function would do, this input function, it would automatically print this and then prompt you for the input. So now you see it goes something like this. Enter number 1, okay, enter number 2, let's say 2, and it prints out the product, right? So that's how this works. Any question? Anything that you guys didn't understand about the input function or the print function, or how all this works? Guys? I'll just wait for a minute if you have any question and answer it, or else I'll move on. So let me know if I should just move on, or do you have any questions? Okay. Anyone else?
No, sir.
Okay, so that's great. Now, what if I want to write something like this? Instead of saying that the product is, let's say I want to be, more classy. I want to do a lot of stuff. Colon is just something I write. It's just something I like writing. Right? It's not necessary. You could totally skip it. You could write anything you want. So what if I want my input to be something like, the number you entered. So 10 into or 10 multiplied 2 is equals to 20. Input function, you pass a string argument and it prints it. Now anything can be converted into a string, but yeah, in input function, you just pass a string argument. So what if I want my output to be something like this? Let's say you entered 10 and 2. So I want to write something like 10 multiplied 2 equals to, and your output. What if I want to do something like this? There are a lot of apps or applications that you could use. You could go for VS Code. That's a great IDE. You could use the ideally. You could even do it in Notepad and execute it using the CMD or anything else, right? So now what I can do is say X, then pass in a comma. I could say multiplied this sign, pass in another comma. Then I could say Y, pass in another comma. And I know you guys are just gonna hate me for writing all this and speak it loud. Okay. Yeah, I'll send them to you guys later, to Tana actually. Okay, so now you see it looks something like this, and look, it looks fine. It looks fine, right? But now you see that there's this cryptic looking syntax. Something, then comma, then a string, then comma, then equals to, then comma, then all this. It's really, really cryptic looking. And maybe I don't want to do that. I love writing something like this. So is there no way that I could just say X star Y equals to X into Y, and and Python automatically understands what I want to do right now? Yeah, you can do that. C to B7 E5A2. You can do that. Is there no way in Python that I could actually do that? And to be honest, there is a way, and it's called the F string or the formatted strings. So right now, all we did is we learned about passing something in print function. But there's this special type of string. We call it F string. It's a feature in Python. And right now, what I can do is, I can do something like this. Let's see what it does, and I'll explain it to you guys. Right? This is how an F string looks like. An F string, then again, I know it too looks like a cryptic looking syntax, but we did get rid of those commas, and we could do everything in just a single block of statement. We don't even need all those multiple lines. Now, F string basically stands for formatted string. And anything that you write inside these curly braces, its actual value will be printed out. Okay. Its actual value will be printed out. Had I not done this, and I would have written something like this. So maybe there are guys who would expect this to work as well, because at the end, I'm printing X, I'm printing Y, I'm printing X plus Y. But to you, it might mean something to you guys because you see that X is here and X is here, right? But to Python, anything that is inside a single quote or a double quote is basically a string. So it would print it just the way it is. So I could enter 10 and 20, but it's going to print this, just this. And that's what print F strings help us to do. You could write something like this. Maybe it won't, and there are a lot of guys for whom it won't make sense right now. Like, why do I need to learn about these F strings and all? I could, live my life without knowing this, and my code would still work. But it's just a genuine shortcut I wanted to let you guys know before we continue. So yeah, it's way easier, and it's just one Python feature that you guys should have known, because at the end you are learning Python. Right? It's just a Python feature. Any questions, or shall I move on?
Yes, sir. You can move on.
Okay, thank you guys. So now let's come to conditional statements. Okay. So now all we did was, write, take input, print out something, maybe do a little bit of calculation here and there, maybe add something, multiply something, divide something, or not. That's right. But now, what if I want my code to be a little bit smarter? I want it to think about something. I want it to take decisions. That's where we can use conditional statements. So if one condition is satisfied, we can execute one line of code. If it's not, then we can execute other line of code. So my first question to you guys would be, what do you understand by even numbers and odd numbers? What are even numbers? What are odd numbers? Could any one of you tell me? Like, help me refresh my memory. I was kind of weak at maths actually.
2, 4, 6. These are the even numbers, and 1, 3, 5, 7 odd number.
1, 3, 5 odd numbers.
Yeah, okay. So you could say that 1, 3, 5 is an odd number. Is 7 an odd number?
Yes.
Yes.
How do you know that?
The number which is divisible by 2 is even, and which is not divisible by 2 is odd.
Yeah, exactly.
So I could say that if I divide a number by 2 and its remainder is 0, it's an even number, right?
Yes, sir.
If I divide like 10 by 2 and I figure out that the remainder is 0, so it's divisible by 2, right? That's what it means. So that's great. So now how do we actually figure this out? Let's say you input a number. So let's get a number from you guys first. So num equals to int. It's going to be an integer. It's great. We could do that. Now, based on a condition, based on whether it's divisible by 2 or not, I want to say that it's either even or odd. So to check that out, we are going to check it, right? So we need some conditional statements. I'm saying if it's divisible by 2, if it's not divisible by 2. And we can do all that in Python using the if statement. So I could say if is a keyword, and it's basically used to check for statements. So if, and then write in a condition. What would be the condition be? The condition would be if something is equals to, the remainder is equals to 0. Okay, how do we get the remainder? How did we get the remainder? We use the modulo division operator. So I could say, yeah. So I could say if num modulo 2. So num modulo 2 would be the remainder. Just in case we are dividing it by 2, it would either be 0 or 1, right? Now, how do I check it if it's
Sir, what is modulo?
Modulo is this operator that gives you the remainder. So let's say you write something like 10 modulo 2, it's going to give you 0 because the remainder is 0. If you write something like 3 modulo 2, it would give 1 because the remainder is 1, and so on.
Thank you.
That's fine. Now this next part is, how do I actually check? So you could say it's really simple. It's Python. All you need to do is type in an equal to, right? If n modulo 2 equals to 0, let's say, and blah blah blah. Let's do something. But that's the catch. You can't do this because if you have already seen it, this right here is used for assignment. Single equals to is used for assignment. Okay. For checking, you have another operator that's called the double equals to. The double equals to is used for checking. Single equals to is used for assignment. So let's say I have something like this. Num equals to gives an output of nothing, but it sets the value of num as 2, whereas num equals to 2 would actually check if my value is equals to 2. So 1 equals to 2. Is 1 equals to 2? Guys, it's not, right? So the output would be false. Is 2 equals to 2? So it's exactly equals to 2, or comparison. It's true. In the same way, we have all these operators right now. And right now we are learning about the conditional operators. So the first operator that we learn about is double equals to. That's for comparison. The second would be the not equals to. Not equals to looks something like this. An exclamation mark followed by an equals to. Now 2 not equals to 2. It's false because apparently 2 is equals to 2. What is single equals to? Single equals to is known as the assignment operator. What single equals to do is it stores the value. Say if I say x equals to 10, so the value of x would become 10, or x would store 10. Whereas double equals to is used for comparison. So yeah, 2 not equals to 2 is false because 2 is equals to 2. But 1 not equals to 2, it's true. Any number other than 2 is not equals to 2. So it's true. In the same way, there are other operators as well. Like 2 less than 3, it's true. But 4 less than 3, it's false. 3 less than 3, it's false as well. But now this thing, it's called less than or equals to. So is 3 less than or equals to? Or equals to. So apparently 3 is not less than 3, but 3 is equals to 3, right? So it's true. Because although 3 is not less than 3, 3 is equals to 3. And it takes all the conditions. Similarly, you have something like this, 3 greater than 3. 3 greater than 3 is false, but 3 greater than or equals to is true. And I'm available for your questions. And I'll list down the operators in here that we learned as well. These are the operators that we learned. Any questions regarding these operators? What they do and all?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Sir, what does this exclamation and equal to operator do?
It checks if it's for not equals to.
Okay.
Okay, so 1 not equals to 2 would return you true, right? While 2 not equals to 2, so since 2 is equals to 2, it would return false. That's it. So now let's say if I have something like 10 and I take its modulo, it's 0, and then I say if it's equals to 0, it's gonna be true, right? But if it's 11, it's gonna be false. So based on this condition alone, we can figure out if a number is even or odd. So let's get back to our code again. So I'm saying if num mod 2 equals to 0, and now I want if only if this statement is true, I wanna execute something. So that's where I type in a colon. Now this time colon is important. For the guy who asked me, are colons important? That time they were just a way of writing that I used. You could you could have used something else, but right now this colon means something. Okay. And now if only if this condition is true, I want to type in something. So you see, I get this indentation. Indentation again in Python is important. So anything that is indented is a part of this statement. And let's demonstrate it. Let's see how it actually works. Yeah. Num is just a variable. You could have named it anything, right? It's just a variable.
Okay, sir.
Now, what's the difference between these two print statements? So the difference between these two print statements is this print statement is actually inside this if block. So how do I know if it's inside the if block? I know it because it's indented. This one tab space in Python is necessary. Had it been any other programming language, you would have used something like the curly braces, right? There is no concept of curly braces in Python for blocking statements. Rather, we use this colon, and anything that is that's indented is inside this if block, and this print statement is outside this if block. Let's see how it works. Let's type in a number 10. So it says 10 is even, and it prints done. Right? That's simple. That's exactly what it should have done anyways. Now let's type in something else. You see, it only prints done. The reason is this: since when the number was 11, its modulo 2 was not equals to 0. Hence this statement never got executed. I just explained what an F string is, Rahul. So in F string, I could directly access the values in here. That's why. Just a handy little shortcut you can use in Python. Okay. So the statement actually never gets executed. And only this done statement is executed because it's not inside the print statement. I'm open to your questions right now. Okay. Any other question from aside from Dave's question, or then I'll address his question.
So please pardon this even and odd one, this statement one.
Okay. Do you want me to repeat it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So what we do right now is that we take in a number input. We input a number, and you already learned how to do that. Then I calculate the number mod 2. Modulo basically gives me the remainder. Then I say, is it equals to 0? So the let's say I input 10. So 10 modulo 2 is going to be 0, right? So now is 0 equals to 0. This is the comparison operator. So if it's equals to 0, anything that is inside the if block will be executed. If this block is if block is true, then anything inside the if block is executed. Now, how do you know that something is inside this if block? In other programming languages, it would have been no problem since there were curly braces. But in Python, there are none. Rather, you write a colon in here. So this colon marks the start of the if block. Okay. So this colon right now, right here, marks the beginning of my if block. And then anything that is indented, you see, it's indented, right? It has this one tab space. It's not, it doesn't directly follow if, rather it's, yeah, it's indented. That's the word actually. So anything that is inside in here will be executed. I could even write other print statements in here as well. Now you see, all these statements are executed, right? So anything that is this if block, if only if this block is true, curly braces, this symbol, this brackets.
Sir, what if there is no done and if the number is odd, what does it print, sir?
If the number is odd and if I remove done, right, it won't
Yes,
print
sir.
none. It won't print anything. See? It just
Okay,
won't
sir.
print anything.
Okay, sir.
So now it's fine. We already got access to check if the number is even. So we do know how to access this particular statement. So anytime this condition in here is satisfied, this block will execute. Or anything that is indented in here will get executed. What if the statement is not true? I can't always rely on this done statement, right, to mark the execution of my code. There should be some other way. And indeed, there is. So if one statement is true, execute this, else. There's this, just like if, there's this else. And else executes if the if is false. I could say something like else. Yeah, else. And it's print. Num is odd. Now if I print in 10, it's gonna say that 10 is even. Yeah, like it's a big surprise or something, right? But now if I print or enter 11, you see it says 11 is odd. That's how these if and else statements complement each other. These just as I told you, these statements complement each other. So if and the condition that you passed in if is true, anything inside the if block will be executed. If it's not, so if this condition was not true, then anything inside this else block will be executed. Right? Writing F is not compulsory.
Sir, if I don't use curly bracket, then it will be syntax error or it will pass the answer one?
Something like this.
Yeah.
It would just say num is odd. Right now it's a string literal, right? It's just a string. Right now, but now it
Sir, what is F in
variable.
this?
F basically denotes the F string. F string stands for formatted strings. So it lets you access the value of this variable directly. Okay. Writing num, if you had just written num, and let's remove the F for now. Python won't actually know what num is. To it, anything that's inside this single quotes or double quotes, if there is, it's just a string and it would just print it as it is. It won't care. But what if I wanna? What if I wanna print the value of num, not this string num, this English string num? What if I wanna pass the value or write the value? One way to do this is something like this. It works. Now instead of writing all these commas and all, it's totally optional, by the way. These F strings are totally optional, by the way. You could skip it. I could write something like this and it would work as well. It's just a handy little shortcut.
So please input an even number.
Tell me an even number. Any number you want.
So you can
Yeah.
input 10 or 8, anything.
Okay. Yeah, go on. That's what it was supposed to do, right? And I guess someone asked me to input a negative number in here as well. Let's say minus 19. Minus 19 is odd. It doesn't actually matter because the division works on every number. Yeah. For Anmol, indentation error basically occurs when there's one less space or one more space. So for indentation means one tab space, and I've already told you one tab space means 4 spaces. So I can't write something like this. It would throw me an indentation error. So you need 4 spaces, right? Now, if you're using on a system, maybe a laptop or a PC, in your keyboard, you would see this tab key above caps lock. Press it, and it's basically just one tab space. 0 is even, man. 0 is even, right? When you divide anything with 0, it's gonna be 0. Okay. Any question in here? No, sir. Yeah, that's great. So right now we have learned that we could use an if and then check for a condition. And if it's not true, I can directly pass on else, right? Now let's take a layman's example. I know the code that I'm gonna write now won't make sense to you guys. It's just to explain a concept, how to chain multiple if and else's. So okay, let's take in a condition. Let's say let's enter a number. So num equals, it's going to be a number, right? It's going to be an integer. So I write int. Then I'm going to input it. Enter the number. That's great. Now I want to see if that number is less than 5. I want to say high, or less than 5, anything. If it's between 5 and 7, I want to do something else. And if it's greater than 7, I want to do something else. So if my number is less than 5, I want to say high. If it's somewhere between, if it's greater than 5, and my number is less than 7, let's say. So if it's between 5 and 7, that's how you denote it, right? I want to say hello or something. Just some dummy text. You could change it later. And if it's greater than 7, I want to say, let's say, here. So I want to do something like this, right? So how do you guys think that this you could achieve this? Achieving only these 2 parts would be really easy, right? So I could write something like if num is less than 5, I could say print, let's say less than 5. And I could type in an else in here and say that it's greater than 7 or something. Sorry. It's simple. It's really simple, right? If I say it's 6, it's greater than 5. It works, but I don't want to do that. So right now what I want to do is, if this condition is not satisfied, so if this condition is not satisfied, I want to go to another condition. So technically I am going in an else statement, and inside this and along with this else statement, I'm also checking another condition. It's something like an else if condition, right? It's an else if condition. And in Python, had it been any other programming language, again, I'm going to repeat this. Had it been any other programming language, you could have written something like an else if. In Python, it doesn't work that way, because the creator of Python, Mr. Rossum, like shortcuts a lot. You would see it's a general syntax in Python, writing all this stuff in shortcuts. So instead of else if, you write elif. Elif, just like if, takes in a condition. So now I could say num greater than 5. If my number is greater than 5, okay, and literally, and my number is less than 7, I could say print between 5 and 7. Else, I could say print and now let's check it out. Let's enter 1. It's less than 5. Let's enter 6. It's between 5 and 7. Let's enter 10. It's greater than 7. It works, right? Yeah. Open to your questions again, guys. I know it could be tough wrapping your head around all this in such a short amount of time. But just bear with it. Ask questions if you need to. I could demonstrate multiple examples as well. And then we'll see what and or and other stuff does. So we have already learned something new in here, this and we'll see what and other operators could be there. Okay. So I'm open to your questions right now. Anything you want to ask me? Guys?
Sir,
Okay, yeah.
in the is number less than 5. In print, we can write in the curve number. Then what it will be?
I didn't get you. Could you come again?
Wait, I'd write in the comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, to Parish, to your question, that would be a syntax error. Because to you, it might make some sense. To Python, it won't. And to the girl who just asked me the question, could you be kind enough to write it in the comments real quick? It was supposed to go around 6. If you want, we could stop, or if you just grant me some more time, because you know, for some of you guys, it's their first time learning Python, right? So if it could just bear with me, I could explain just something extra. Okay. Prachi, is that what you asked? What you wanted me to ask, or try it on the screen? Okay. So to Prachi, who just asked the question, F string basically, you know, would print the value of the number. That's it. Yeah. So now let's see. Now let's again go back to let's go back to the simpler way of life. And now let's check out these operators, these you know, statements. The first would be and, the second would be or, the third would be not. And XOR doesn't work that way. XOR works this way. Yeah. So repeating just what I said earlier, Python was meant for simplicity, right? That's how the inventor of Python, Rossum, visioned it. So now and, or, and not, these are called the logical operators.
Sir, can you please explain again Python conversation?
Explain again which part. Could you write in the comments? I didn't get you.
Yes,
Could you
sir.
write it in the chat?
Yes, sir, I can write.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So right now, and, or, and not are called logical operators. And let's see how those work. So let's see, 2 greater than 0 is true, and 3 less than 2. So I know that 2 greater than 0 is true. So this part is true, but 3 less than 2. Now that part must be false, right? And even any engineering guy, any engineer, you know, anyone pursuing engineering, anyone here to destroy his or her life?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So could you just help me and let me know what have you learned about the AND gate, OR gate, or something? Basically, the Boolean algebra.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what would be this true and true? If I have these values,
True,
so
sir.
what does AND mean? Both of them have to be true, right? Only
Yes,
then my
sir.
output could be true.
Yes,
So
sir.
right now, 2 is greater than 0. It's fine. It's true. And 3 is less than is 3 less than 2?
No. No, sir.
It's false, right?
Yes, sir.
That's why the answer is false. Because true and false is false.
False.
So it would only if true and true, it's gonna be true. Rest all the cases would be false. Okay. Now it's true. It's great.
Hello, sir. If
Yeah.
both the statements are false, then what it is?
Let's check that out. So I hope 2 is not less than 0. It's false, right? So as I mentioned earlier, only if both the statements are true, you will get true. Else, in every other condition, you will get false. Yeah, that's exactly just what I told Ansh. That's totally true. Basically, I'm following the Boolean operators.
Okay.
Logical operators, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So similarly, I have something else called the OR. Now, OR outputs true if any one of the condition is true. Okay, so if any one of the condition is true, my using an OR operator would result in true. So although 2 is not less than 0, but 3 is indeed greater than 2, right? So 2 less than 0 or 3 greater than 2, it's going to be true. Only if all the conditions are false, OR will result in false. And we can now stack these operators together. So if 1 equals to 1, it's true. First of all, let's check this. And 2 greater than 0, it's true. And 4 is not equals to 2, it's true as well. It outputs true, right? But if I say 4 is equals to 2, I know 4 is not equals to 2.
Sir, if we use both and or together, what will happen?
Yeah, I was just going to come to that. Just give me a moment. Let's just finish this example. Okay. Yeah. So now
Okay,
you see,
sir.
even though even if these two are true, these two conditions are true, since one of the conditions was false, it's going to be false. Just as I said, if all the conditions are true, the property of AND is that it's going to be true. Else it would be false. But if I say, pass in an OR in here, now you see it says that it's true. Now why does it say that it's true? Because I know 1 equals to 1 is true, and 2 greater than 0 is true again, right? So this would be my first condition. This would be my second condition. My second condition is false, but in here, at least one condition is true. Right? So in case of this condition, even if like one condition is true, it's going to be true. So this is my first condition, this is my second condition. That's how Python reasons it. That's how it, kind of splits your conditions. Because the second thing that you need to keep in mind is and or. They are both binary operators. I just said that and comma or are binary operators. What are binary operators? They operate on, two operands. Just like addition. For addition, you need two numbers, right? The same way. Okay. And the third one with the not. So not basically changes the value. Being philosophical here, what's not true is false, right? What's not false is true. Like if it's not false, it's going to be true. Okay. Any question from your side? Hello, guys. I hope I'm not boring you, right?
Sir,
Yeah.
இந்த படத்துக்கு சேர்லாம் 4 நாள்டா 4 நாள் ஆன்லைன்டா சோ ரக்கா அனுப்பிச்சுட்டாங்க லிங்க் அனுப்பிச்சுட்டாங்க.
Okay guys,
பாத்துக்கங்க.
let's not do personal talk on the voice chat, right? But if you have any okay, I hope it's not boring. Thank you. So basically not is a unary operator, and it would just change it true to false and false to true. That's it. So now let's get back to our examples again. And an or, right? So actually I would like to give you guys an assignment for today, if it's fine with you guys. The assignment would be really, really simple. So I want you guys to input a number and check if that number, let's say you input a number. So if that number is divisible by 5,6,7. If that number is divisible by all three numbers,
do in the computer.
You could try it on your computer. You could try it on a programming app. Anywhere you, if it's fine with you.
Sir,
Yes.
can I download Jupyter Notebook like today in my PC?
No, you can do it. You could do it right now as well. It's totally depends on you.
No, sir, because when I am searching on Google Chrome, so it is coming nothing. Like it is coming.
Yeah, don't do that. Have you installed Python on your system?
Yeah, I have Python 3.8.5. I wrote to you in the chat box yesterday.
Okay, that's great. So could you open up your terminal or your command prompt and write in pip install notebook. All right, in
that Python I should write?
No, in just plain simple command prompt. CMD, if you would call it.
Okay. CMD. Yeah, it is yours. Command prompt, I think.
Yeah. Open it.
Then okay. Yeah, I opened it.
Yeah, I'm going to write something in the comments and just copy and paste it. Okay. Okay, I guess it converted it to a bigger P. Just make it a small p, right? PIP. It's all in small letter.
Oh,
it's autocorrect, sorry. Yeah. So I was just coming to my question. So input a number. So let's say input number and check if it's divisible by 5, 6, and 7. If it's it would be something like num mod 5 equals to 0 and num mod 6 equals to 0 and num mod 7 equals to 0. Then print anything. Print I'm happy. If it's not, so I would go to an else statement, right?
Sir, I did that. Pip install notebook I wrote.
It's going to install something. Just wait for it to finish, right? Okay. If it's not, then you could just print something like print. I'm sad. That's it. I hope it's not too difficult for you guys. I hope, and just in case you have any doubt, you can let me know.
No,
and
sir.
we'll meet again tomorrow. Okay.
Sir, wanted to ask one thing. Sir, do you have any PDF notes of whatever we have studied till yet?
Yes, sir.
Actually, I've never used PDFs, or I've never created notes.
Okay,
That's
sir. Sir,
just a personal preference.
sir, if you can make, will you please send if you want, if you can make.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to those HSPM guys, and I guess we could just figure me out. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So the same for the guy 1+5. Currently, I am also using a Macintosh system, so it's really simple. Instead of the CMD, you just go to your terminal, right? Your terminal, if you can't find it, it would be in your Launchpad. Just type in terminal and you would get it.
I got it.
It's great. So any other questions right now? Anything else? And for those who actually know what you're doing, what you guys are doing, and you want to show me the code, you could either send it to their WhatsApp group or upload it in GitHub and send us the link. Anything that you want to do.
Sir, can we get recordings of this class?
Yeah, that's something that the HSPM guys would take care of. But most probably they are already recording it or something, and put it on YouTube.
Okay, sir.
I guess. So anything else you guys want to ask me, or Stuti, can we actually conclude the session now?
Sir, I wanted to ask you something, that when you wrote that command, so in like 5 seconds or 6 seconds, it started to download. So now it is completed. So now when I search in the search bar, so
you still won't get Jupyter Notebook. Now write exactly what I'm writing that now.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Just wait a second. Type in this in your system, Jupyter Notebook. Just make sure that most probably the J is small in here, but just in case it's not, just make it a smaller J. It's Jupyter Space Notebook. Type in your command prompt. It would do something with your browser, and something would come up. Okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, that's great. So I hope you guys are in board, right? Let me know if I'm boring you or something, or if I'm going too fast, too slow, anything.
So you're a little bit fast, but everything is very nice.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. So I'll just ask them and stop sharing my screen. That's fine.
Okay then, Rhythm, I guess that's it from your side. So
Yeah,
guys,
thank you,
thanks for
Stuti.
coming. Just tomorrow join. The link will be sent in the group. And also, we are just recording it. So don't worry, you'll get it on YouTube. The channel name and all those things, we'll just post it on group. Okay. Yeah. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you.